The following is an ACT English question that is asking us to identify the best way of wording or rewording the highlighted portion of a sentence in a passage. So let's go ahead and read the sentence first. The effect of the inhibine content of many honey types were studied in the past few years by several investigators. So it turns out that what's highlighted here is a verb phrase of the sentence, and every single answer choice just includes verbs. As it turns out, what has to come before it then is the subject of the sentence unless this is a passive sentence, and it is not. So the subject is going to be found somewhere over here. What you want to make sure that you can do is figure out which of the nouns in that first part of the sentence is a subject. And a good strategy for this is to ask the question who or what performed the action. Who was studied? What was studied? Right? Or who were studied? What were studied? What's going on here, though, is, you're going to use were if it was a plural subject, but you're going to have to use something more like was if it was a singular subject. Was is for singular. Are could be either. Have is for plural. So let's watch that out. Were, of course, is for plural as well. The effect of the inhibine content of many honey types. So you might want to do here is, what was studied? It turns out what was studied is the effect, not the honey types necessarily. And a good strategy for this is whenever you have just a phrase that you know in a sentence has to include the subject, read from left to right, and more often than not, the first noun you land on is going to be the subject of the sentence. Ask yourself, can it be that what we're studying is the effect versus something else? If that were not the case, then you move on to a different word. But if it is the case, that first noun that can be the subject has to be the subject. So what's going on here is the effect of the inhibine content happens to be singular, not plural, so no change is out of the question, and have, which we said had to apply to a plural subject, has to be gone as well. Now, the effect is or was. You can't say the effect are, because are can only be singular if you're talking about the second person, like you are referring to one person. But in this case, it's a third. We have the effect was. So the only answer choice that really could potentially be the right answer choice is answer choice C here. I hope that helped with this question. Happy prepping.